Namaskar. I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive 5 days online course on the topic including children with hearing impairment in the mainstream school education. You are watching us live on PM eVidya channels 1 to 12, on PM eVidya ISL channel number 31 and also on our YouTube handles NCERT Official and NCERT Events. This is our 5-day, 5-hour, a very important training program designed specifically for regular school teachers, also for teacher educators, inclusive education coordinators, school administrators and pre-service teachers. When we talk about including children with hearing impairment in the mainstream school education, the first thing that we all must know is the language, ISL. And this week we have been celebrating International Day of Sign Language, which is celebrated every year on 23rd of September and is recognized by United Nations organizations as well. But it's not just the language that is of primary concern. We need to, first of all understand different kind of hearing impairments, and we also need to understand different strategies that can be adopted to impart education and to make the concepts understandable to the children with hearing impairment. Well, on day 3, we talked about behavioral issues and management of children with hearing impairment, because we all know that unless and until we know where the child is coming from, we won't be able to give a resolution. And today, on day 4, the topic that we have taken up is extremely important. We'll be talking about educational technology. Yes, the topic of day 4 is educational technology for children with hearing impairment. Now, this training program is actually organized by Central Institute of Educational Technology, that is CIET NCERT, in collaboration with AlISH, which is All India Institute of Speech and Hearing, Mysore, Karnataka. I'm sure all our viewers who have registered themselves for this training program or are watching us otherwise, they must be having a lot of questions and a lot of curiosity also. So why don't you participate in this session? Please take down all the details. Our phone number is 8800444059. Our email ID is dth.isl31@ciet.nic.in, and on our YouTube handle NCERT Official and NCERT Events, you can send us your questions, suggestions and feedback. Since it's a training program, there is going to be an assessment. I will share all the details with you by the end of today's session. Meanwhile, along with me, you can watch on screen our ISL interpreter. So we have 2 ISL interpreters today with us, Ms. Sonal and Ms. Bhumi. They'll take their turns and express this entire journey in Indian Sign Language. I welcome both of you to this session. And now I must introduce you all to our guest for the session, who will be talking about educational technology. Well, when it comes to delivering content, technology these days play a very important role, but specifically with children who are having hearing impairment, we need to go a little specific. So to throw more light on the topic and its relevance, we are joined by Professor Ajish Ibrahim. Sir is Dean, Department of Electronics from AlISH, Mysore, Karnataka. Sir, namaskar and very warm welcome to the session.
Namaste.
And to all the viewers, I just want to say that there are certain points that we'll be focusing on during this session, like acoustic barriers in classroom, the need for assistive devices in classroom, role of assistive devices in effective learning, and importance of awareness among teachers about the assistive technology services. So, Professor Ajish, the very first question that I would like to ask you on behalf of all the viewers and all the participants is that when it comes to educational technology, we all know that these days in disseminating information or imparting education, so that no matter where you are at right now at any place, or which particular location you belong to, or what kind of learner you are, we have technology to deliver content accordingly, like the personalized content. I want to understand from you the relevance of today's topic and why it is important to know about these educational technologies.
Thank you, Harpreet, and thanks for this opportunity to be with you.
Thank you, sir.
For this particular program. And when we speak about technology, all of us are glued with technology in the present scenario. But when it comes to educational technology for children with hearing impairment, it is not an add-on. It is an essential feature, because without this technology, it's very difficult for them to learn from the classroom. So in our institute, we have two centers. One is
Okay.
the Center for Augmentative and Alternative Communication and Sign Language, where we implement technologies to the children. So I'll be showing a few videos on that at the end of my presentation.
Okay.
And then we also have a center for rehabilitation engineering, where we develop these technologies. See, some of the technologies which can be used in classroom are the technologies which can be adapted or customized. The existing technologies can be adapted or customized for usage in the classroom.
Right.
Okay. So these activities we take care in this center. And when you consider the persons with hearing impairment, uh, on the technology point of view, basically we can classify them into two categories. One is persons with hearing loss. So you
Okay.
have a hearing impairment. You are not completely deaf.
Deaf. Okay.
So for those category of children, we have a different solution. And for children with complete hearing loss, which we call them as deaf or hard of hearing, for them, solutions are different. So I'll be going through the solutions for both. Let me start with the solution for people with hearing loss, or children with hearing loss.
Okay.
So when we think about children with hearing loss, the first thing which comes into our mind is about the hearing aids. All of them, when they have the hearing aids, and when they use those hearing aids in the classroom, what is the problem? They can listen beautifully. That will be the thought in our mind. But that thought is not correct, because hearing aids have limitations in classroom. So we'll be going through that also. And the second category of devices which the children with hearing loss use in their classroom is the assistive listening devices. And when we think about hearing aids, we have seen all these type of hearing aids. So as teachers, when you have children with hearing impairment in your classrooms, the child will be wearing one of these hearing aids. So these are different types, and they are named in the way in which they are worn on the body. So that's hearing aid which is worn on the body is body worn hearing aid. The
Okay.
hearing aid which is worn behind the ear, you call it as behind the ear hearing aid. The hearing aid which goes completely into the ear canal, which is not visible at all, it is called CIC hearing aid. So the child in your classroom will be wearing one of these type of hearing aid. So basically, the function of this hearing aid is to process the sound, the sound which the child want to hear, that will
Okay.
be processed to a level that he can comfortably listen. So that is the audibility part. So for example, when you are listening the TV in your home, when you feel that the sound is not audible, you increase the volume of that. So the hearing aid does that. But along with that, what is more important is that it also make the child to understand the message conveyed through the sound. So that part is important, because the clarity with which the sound is delivered, the process sound is delivered into the ear of the child, that is also very important. So the hearing aid basically is a processor. It is an intelligent processor. It has got a microphone which receives the sound, and then the processor modifies the sound as per the requirement of the child. So some of
Okay.
them, the hearing impairment will be very less. We call them as mild hearing impairment. So their requirements are different. So some of them, the hearing impairment is severe. So their requirements are different. So all this processing is done in the small chip which is there in the hearing aid. Then you also have the output from the hearing aid, which goes into the ears through a small earphone. So when you use a mobile to listen to music, you use the earphones which are placed in the ear. But these hearing aids have got inbuilt small earphone, very small earphones, which take the processed sound into the ears. Now, when we talk about the classroom of children with hearing impairment, always when we talk about accessibility, the most popular word which comes into our mind is about the barriers. So, for a physically disabled person, the step will be a barrier. For a visually impaired person, there are different barriers. So, like that, children with hearing impairment also has barriers, which we call as acoustic barriers. So, these acoustic barriers are nothing but the inappropriate acoustic conditions in the classroom. So, there are three major barriers in our classrooms of children with hearing impairment. The first is the high reverberation in the classroom. Second is the high background noise in the classroom. And third is the insufficient signal to noise ratio in the classroom. And there is a standard or a guideline which is introduced by American Speech and Hearing Association, which says that there should be some limits to all these parameters. So if the background noise is there in the classroom, it should not exceed 35 dBA. So in the classroom of children with hearing impairment, it should not exceed 35 dB. Similarly,
Okay.
the reverberation, that should not be crossing some value. Similarly, the signal to noise ratio should be within some value. So anything which is above, so if the background noise is above 35 dB, it is a barrier to children with hearing impairment. If the reverberation is above a particular value, it is a barrier. And if the signal to noise ratio is below a particular value, then it is a barrier to the child. So we'll be talking about these barriers ahead. So first is about the classroom. So when you see a classroom, the classroom is a room with 6 boundaries. So you have the floor, you have the ceiling, and you have 4 walls.
Walls,
So
yes.
all these boundaries, they can reflect sound. So you see in the picture, a teacher is teaching there. The sound from the teacher reaches the children through different paths. One is the direct sound path, directly from the teacher to the child. Second is the reflected path. So the sound from the teacher, it can go to the ceiling, get reflected from there and reach the child. The sound can also go to the floor, get reflected from there and reach the child. The sound can also go to the wall, get reflected and reach the child. The problem here is when the child is hearing the sound, sorry, the child will be hearing the direct sound first, and the reflected sound comes after a particular period of time, after a particular delay. So that means when I make a sound like a clap sound like this, the clap persists in the ears of the children for a few milliseconds. Okay, so that part is called prolongation of sound. And when this happens, when this prolongation happens, the child will have that sound sustained in his ears for a little longer time. So this phenomena we call as reverberation. So reverberation is created when a sound is reflected. So reverberation is a scientific name for that. The common name is echo. So when we stand in a big, huge building and when we speak, we can hear our own sound getting prolonged.
Yes.
Okay, so that is a severe condition of reverberation. Whereas the same thing happens in classrooms also, but we are unable to perceive it because our ear has got a beautiful mechanism of suppressing those echoes if it is within a small extent. But when you consider a child with hearing impairment, that mechanism will not work with him. So this echoing, which we hear in large rooms, the same kind of echoing the child will hear in a small classroom also.
Yeah.
So that is one of the major barrier which the child faces. And this is measured in terms of a parameter called the reverberation time. So when I showed you about the acoustic barriers, it says that the reverberation time should be less than this. So reverberation time is the time of prolongation of that sound. So that should be less than a particular value. So it causes prolongation of the sounds. So what happens is when I say a word cashew, so the word cashew has got several components, like the k part of cashew is a consonant and the a is a vowel. So what happens is when this prolongation happens, some of the sounds are prolonged more, some of the sounds are prolonged less. So the sounds which are prolonged more, they will mask the sounds which are prolonged less.
Right.
So when I say cashew, so some sounds, ish, will be missing from the word when the child hears that, because that ish is going to be masked by the prolongation of the previous sound. So this is the effect which the reverberation has on the intelligibility of sound.
So thank you so much for explaining this so wonderfully. I never knew about reverberation at the first place, and then you also made us learn about the hearing aids, and it's important to understand the kind of hearing aids and the kind of effects sound produce on the hearing impaired, because only then we will be able to design our lessons and impart the education to them accordingly. Also, we can overcome the academic difficulties and challenges as a teacher or a special educator. Now, you talked about reverberation. I want to understand, of course, it will create barriers when it comes to understanding the concepts. So, what steps can be taken to reduce the reverberation time in the classroom of children with hearing impairment?
So that thank you for that question, Harpreet. See, basically, this reverberation is happening because of the reflections coming from the surface. So the first way to cut down reverberation or reduce the prolongation is by avoiding these reflections.
Okay.
Okay. So what simple things which we can do without involving much cost is adding materials to these surfaces which will absorb sound. For example, in the floor, you can put a a mat which is just made of a very simple material like coir. Okay, COIR, coir mat. Then you also can put curtains onto the walls. Okay, so even though there is no window or there is no door, you can put curtain, and these curtains have to be with cotton materials. Cotton is a good absorber of sound. You also can put display boards in the classroom, that with beautiful pictures and all. You can put display boards. These display boards, which are made of thermocols, they are very good absorbers of sound. The notice boards, which we use in our earlier system of schooling, the notice boards or the pin-up boards, all of them are good absorbers of sound. So what we can do best without involving much cost is by providing carpets, providing curtains,
Okay.
and using notice boards or thermocol boards in the classroom. Now, another issue in the classroom is the background noise. Okay, this noise is from different sources. The children sitting in the same classroom, they'll make noise. So if the children is moving their feet on the floor, or if they are moving their chair here and there, all this creates noise. The same thing when it happens in the neighboring classroom, that also will create noise. So in the neighboring classroom, suppose the teacher is not there for some time, you can just imagine the noise which is coming from the classroom. So this is another acoustic barrier which the child has in the classroom. The third important barrier is the speech to noise ratio. Now, all of us can hear even in the presence of noise. For example, when we are in a market, a vegetable market, where a lot of background noise is there. But in that place, still we are able to convey what we want to the vendor, and what the vendor says we are able to hear, because there is a ratio, there is a difference between our voice and the background noise. The minimum difference of the voice and the background noise for a child sitting in a classroom with hearing impairment is 15 dB. So
Okay.
that means the level of the speech should be 15 dB higher from the level of noise for a child with hearing impairment. But for a normal child, even if the difference is zero, he will be able to hear comfortably. So that is another barrier. So just revisiting these barriers, we talked about the background noise. It should not be more than 35 dB. If it is more than 35 dB, it's a problem for the child.
Right.
The reverberation, it should not cross 0.6 seconds. So if it is more than, if the sound prolongates for more than 0.6 seconds, it is again a barrier for the child. The signal to noise ratio, the difference between the level of speech and the level of noise, should be at least 15 dB at the ear of the child. If it is not so, it is again an acoustic barrier.
But sir, tell me, you have shown us different kind of hearing aids, and with such advanced technology, don't you think that these hearing aids can overcome the acoustic barriers?
Yes, that is the difficulty which we are facing. Now, these hearing aids are not enough in the classroom for children with hearing impairment, because the hearing aid just receives any sound and it processes that sound. So it cannot distinguish between a direct sound and a reverberated sound.
Okay.
There are very complex hearing aids nowadays which have got some facility to distinguish the reverberated sound, but that is even 100% not successful. Okay. So whereas our ear, if it is a good ear, if it is a healthy ear, the ear has the capability to distinguish these sounds. So what the ear will do is, ear will ignore the reverberated sound, but the hearing aid cannot do that. It cannot differentiate between these two. The second thing is the noise. See, when we say the noise is also a sound, and the hearing aid is supposed to increase or process whichever sound it receives. It cannot distinguish whether it is a teacher's voice or a sound from a neighboring classroom. It will just identify that as sound. It will amplify both the sound as well as the noise. So the signal to noise ratio will also be of no improvement when the child uses the hearing aid. So in such scenarios, we have the next solution, which we call as assistive listening device. So this device is any such device which helps a person with hearing impairment communicate more meaningfully and participate more fully in their daily lives. So these devices help a person to hear and understand what is being said more clearly. So in other words, it will help us to overcome the acoustic barriers. It will help us to improve the speech to noise ratio. It will help us to deliver a constant level of voice to the ears, and that will be teacher's voice. And it will ignore the reverberated sound. So these three aspects where the hearing aid fails, the assistive listening device will take care of that aspect. And the first and simple and most economic assistive listening device which we can implement in the classroom, it is called electromagnetic induction loop system. It's a very simple arrangement. This is the classroom, this is the teacher. The teacher will be using a small microphone, like the cordless microphone which Harpreet is wearing, or it can be a handheld microphone. And this microphone output goes to the amplifier. And normally in a mic amplifier system, we listen the output through either speakers or through headphones.
Okay.
But this amplifier which is there in the classroom will not have any speakers. The output of this amplifier is connected to a loop of wire which surrounds the classroom. Okay, so this gives a silent output, and this silent output is nothing but the electromagnetic waves. And from where this electromagnetic waves comes, it is the electromagnetic wave of the teacher's speech. The teacher's speech picked up by the microphone, taken to the amplifier. The amplifier sends that amplified speech as a current through this loop of wire, which is just fixed at the skirting level of the classroom. Just one simple copper wire fixed all around the classroom at the skirting level. These electromagnetic waves are generated. Now, all these hearing aids which the child with the hearing impairment wears, it has got two modes of operation.
Okay.
And one mode is the telecoil mode. So when we put the hearing aid to the telecoil mode, it cannot hear any sound. The hearing aid will be totally cut off from the sounds. It can pick up only the electromagnetic signals.
Wow.
So when the teacher uses the system, the child will not hear any sound from the neighboring classroom or from the same classroom. It will listen to only the electromagnetic waves, and these electromagnetic waves are because of the voice of the teacher, because of the speech of the teacher. So what goes to the child's ears will only be the speech or the voice of the teacher. So this helps him in listening better.
This is a wonderful system, I must say, because you will not only cancel the extra noises, there will be no overlapping, and the child can hear what has been told, and of course it will be easier to study. But are there any limitations of this induction loop system?
Yes, of course. When I say that, it is very attractive because the cost is very less. The implementation cost is very less. What you require is only a microphone plus an amplifier. So within, say, 5,000-6,000 rupees, you can have the system implemented in a classroom. But it has got a small limitation. It's because this loop of wire, it carries electromagnetic waves. Okay, those electromagnetic waves are because of the speech from the teacher.
Yeah.
But there are other electromagnetic waves in the classroom. See, the broadcast signals are there, the mobile broadcast signals are there. Even though they are very less in amplitude, they will definitely affect, they will definitely interfere with this electromagnetic signal which is coming from the amplifier. So other than that, there are no limitations. Now, to overcome this limitation, you have another system which is called the FM system. So nowadays all of us are used to the FM radio.
Frequency modulation, yes.
Yeah, frequency modulation, radio signals.
Yeah.
So we switch off from one station to another station when we drive the car and all. So this works in the same concept. So here the teacher will be the transmitter. So like your 93.5 transmitter, the teacher will be the transmitter, and all the children who are sitting in the classroom with the hearing impairment, they'll be wearing a small radio set which we call as FM receiver.
Okay.
And whatever the teacher speaks, it will be transmitted like in a radio station, but the range is very limited. The range of the system is only 30 feet. That means it covers only that classroom. So the children can pick up. So how, if you compare with your sound or music from the FM radio station, you know how clear it is.
Yeah.
So in the same way, the teacher will be listening, the children will be listening to their teacher with the same clarity as we listen to an FM station. But the problem here is the performance of the FM system is very good, no doubt. It overcomes all the acoustic barriers. It improves the signal to noise ratio. It delivers a constant level of voice to the ear, just like you listen to an FM radio. It ignores the reverberated sound also. So the system is very good in performance, and the limitation which we had, the interference,
induction loop system,
from other electromagnetic waves, that will not be there here because it is receiving the radio signal.
Right. So, sir, as you mentioned that performance is absolutely wonderful, but then every system comes with its limitations, because here the range is very limited. It's restricted to that classroom. What are the other kind of limitations that one faces when it comes to this FM system?
So the range is limited because if the range is more, suppose there is another child sitting in the classroom, the child will also be hearing this teacher's so when we have to use that in adjacent classrooms, if the range is more, it is a problem. So that is why the range is limited. But another major limitation of the system is its cost.
Okay.
So if we have to procure this system, it comes in sets. So one transmitter which the teacher is going to use, and say 5 receivers which the children are going to use. So one transmitter plus 5 receivers, the cost is about 3 to 4 lakhs.
Oh.
Okay? That is a major limitation in this system. So now we have seen how the assistive listening devices help in a better way compared to hearing aids in the classroom. And the teachers who are attending this program, I advise you to implement an induction loop system in the classroom, which will be very useful to the child. The child's listening will be perfect with that, but there will be some minor interference sometime, but that doesn't matter. But something is better than nothing. So what we teach without the system, if we compare that, the performance of the induction loop system is very good. So another technology which I should definitely talk about is the computer access. So nowadays, children are all the schools have got computer centers where the children are allowed to browse in the net and hear the YouTube videos and then learn things. So when it comes to hearing YouTube videos for a child with hearing impairment, it will be very difficult for that child because his listening through the headphone is not as good as we listen. His listening through the speakers is also not as good as we listen. So therefore, there are devices which makes the computer access, technologies which make the computer access to the child very, very easily. So the one very simple technology which helps you in that is called neck loop technology. So if you can see in this picture, this person is using a hearing aid. He is using a neck loop. Neck loop is like doctors putting the stethoscope across the neck. There will be a small wire which will be covering the neck. And once you put this neck loop, this neck loop can be connected to the computer in the same socket where you connect the headphone. It can be connected to your laptop or computer in the same socket where you connect your headphone. So this neck loop, what it does is it converts the output from the laptop or computer again to electromagnetic waves. And as we discussed in the induction loop case, these electromagnetic waves can be coupled to the hearing aid when the hearing aid is in the telecoil mode. And there is another option which is available nowadays, which is the Bluetooth adapter with streamer. Okay. So this device is also available where the hearing aids have got a facility for Bluetooth adaptability nowadays. So that can be used for this. Now we have seen in length about the technologies which can be used for children with hearing loss. So now we will move on to the other category of children with complete hearing impairment. So there are three different categories of technologies which can be used with them. The one is cochlear implant, second is alerting devices, and the third one is augmentative and alternative communication devices. Now, this cochlear implant is a very costly affair, but many of the state governments and the central governments are giving it free of cost if your income level is less. So, teachers can advise the children who are completely deaf, in the classroom to go for cochlear implant because there are several government schemes and several NGOs also support this. The cost of this implant with the surgery cost is about 4 to 5 lakhs, but it's completely taken care by the government. So this what you saw in the what you see in the picture is the last part of our ear. The ear has got 3 sections: the outer ear, middle ear, and inner ear. So in the inner ear, the vibrations which we hear as sound is converted into electrical signal. So you can see there a membrane is moving and something is rubbing on the membrane, which gets converted to an electrical impulse which is taken to the brain. Then we hear sounds. So what happens in children, majority of the children with complete hearing loss is that this link will be missing. So these are small hair-like structures. So this link will be missing. So however good is your outer ear or middle ear, you will not be able to hear anything because this final conversion from the vibration to electrical impulse doesn't happen because of this. And this leads to complete hearing impairment. So the cochlear implant is exclusively for people like this. So this has got 2 components. One is the outside component, which is worn outside the ear, and it has got an inside component also. So from outside component to inside component, the signals are transmitted and directly taken to the brain with the help of electrodes. So this is how it works. So teachers can advise children with very high hearing loss, which we call as profound hearing loss or complete hearing impairment, to go for this implant. And after they do the implant, their hearing will be perfect. Just like we hear, they would be able to hear.
Wow.
The second category of devices which has to be there, especially in the classrooms or in the schools, are called as alarm and alerting devices. See now, for example, when one particular period is over in the school, it is indicated by ringing the bell. Now, how the child with complete hearing impairment sitting in the classroom will come to know that the bell has rung and the period is over? He will just guess because the other children will start
Moving,
leaving
yeah.
the class, or whether the teacher will be moving
Yeah.
from the class. So with that only, so the bell is one example. Now, the fire alarm systems, the fire alarm systems are there in all the school. So if there is an indication of the fire, then an alarm will loudly start ringing. How this child will be able to hear that alarm? How will he know that the fire is going to happen? He has to escape. So these systems, most of our alarm and alerting devices gives audible indication in the form of alarms or whistles or sirens, which warn us. Now, for children with complete hearing impairment, how these devices are going to help them? No, they are not going to help them or indicate them in any way. Suppose there is a fire or somebody is trying to telephone them. Mobiles definitely has got vibration. If that vibration mode is not on, they will not come to know. A person knocking at the door when the child is at home, the child will not be able to hear that. Okay, then the presence of toxic gases. So in schools and all, there will be alarm for that. Child will not be able to hear. A small child, so if he has a sibling, a small brother or sister, and the child is crying, he will not be able to hear. Okay, so all these audible alarms, the child will not be able to hear. The child with complete hearing impairment may not be able to hear. And for them, we have the alerting devices, alarm alerting devices.
So, sir, which are the most through which the alert systems inform a hearing impaired about a fire or equipment malfunctioning? Let's say, for a very simple example, is when your water tank gets filled, you get this alarm that it's time to close or shut down the motor. So, how do these people then get to know about it?
So we have three modes through which the warning is given to the child. One is the auditory one, which the child obviously cannot hear.
Yeah.
The second way of giving that warning is through visual signals. For example, if there is a fire and if an alarm happens, there can be a flashing light in the classroom.
Yes.
Which will be flashing, which indicates. So that flashing can be in different modes. So if it is a fire, the flashing can follow a particular sequence. So if it is a toxic gas, it can follow a different sequence. And if it is like the overflowing of water tank, which the example which you have mentioned, it can follow a different sequence.
Pattern, right.
Then there are vibrotactile signals. So these signals are just like the vibration mode of your mobile. Okay. So, for example, the child wants to put an alarm to wake up at, say, 6 o'clock. Okay, so he will not be able to hear the audible alarm, but he can have the vibration alarm, which is kept near his pillow, and the system will start vibrating, intimating him that the time he has to wake up is there. So these systems, they notify the deaf people when these events occur, like ringing telephone, crying baby, alarm clock, the door or window open, smoke detection, all that is alerted with the help of three outputs: the audio, visual, and the vibrotactile outputs. Okay, so these are different forms of systems which are easily available in the market. So you can program, as you see in this picture. This is the indication with nipple is when a small baby, when the sibling of the child cries, it gives a visual indication by flashing the light. Then when the telephone rings, it gives a visual indication by
Oh,
flashing. Right? And this is the symbol of a door. So when somebody knocks at the door or when somebody presses the calling bell, so this light starts flashing. And at the last, you can see a red light which will flash when the when the fire is
fire is
there.
there, yeah.
So these are very simple alarm and alerting devices which can be easily implemented in the classroom. Now, other than these alarm and alerting devices, another problem which is faced by these deaf children in the classroom is, especially in the inclusive setup, when the teacher is teaching, the teacher will be explaining very beautifully to the children. Half of the explanation will be there on the board. The teacher will be writing, which the child with complete hearing impairment or the deaf child can easily take down the notes. But many of the oral communication, which is heard by the other children, this child is unable to hear. So for that, we have a technology which directly converts the teacher's speech to text. So as and when the teacher speaks, it will be converted to text and it will be there on the screen, like captioning. So many of the YouTube videos have got captioning now, and many of the our this calls like Skype or Zoom or Google Meet, they also have that facility. So whatever we speak, which will get directly converted to text in real time. So this is a system which the teachers can use in the classroom. There is no cost involved because most of these tools and the apps are freely downloadable apps, and most of the classrooms now have got a smart board, so a portion of the smart board can be clearly dedicated for these apps to work. So whatever the teacher speaks, that will be there in the form of a text in the smart board, which helps the child with complete deafness or the deaf child to understand the teacher's explanation. The third category of devices which are very useful for the deaf children, we call them as augmentative and alternative communication.
Okay.
Okay. So when they are deaf and naturally those who are deaf, they will not be able to speak. Okay. Oral speech will be very limited, and they speak with the sign language, and for them to converse with sign language, the person who is on the other side should know the sign language.
Yes.
Okay. So in conditions where that is not possible, we use an augmentative and alternative mode of communication. And there are two types in that. One is called unaided communication. So the signing, gesture and body language will come in the unaided communication. And the second approach is the aided communication approach. So a simple example is, suppose the teacher want to communicate with the child. What the teacher can do is, you can the teacher, suppose teacher wants to ask a question to the deaf child. Either the teacher can write on the board and ask the question, or if the teacher wants to ask a question which is very personal to the child, the teacher can go there, write the question on his book. So paper and pencil approach is one aided approach. The second approach is we can communicate through photographs, pictures, drawings, etc. Or we can use communication boards. Okay, so communication board is a very simple method of communication. So this picture shows a person who is working in a petrol bunk. Okay, who fills petrol to the car. So he is completely deaf and he cannot speak. So what he is carrying is a small board, just like your whiteboard in the classroom. He is carrying a small board. he is asking how many liters of petrol you require. So the person will immediately write on the board 10 liters. So like that, the small board, which is of 1 feet by 1 feet size, it can be used in the classroom very effectively to communicate with the child.
Right.
And then we also have other devices. So I'll show this video. This device is called a Prof Stalker. So this helps to communicate with the child in the form of flashcards. So each of these flashcards has a message. Suppose the child wants to go to the washroom. How will he communicate to the teacher in the classroom? Okay. So you can just see this video, how it is done.
Sure.
That video. So this child is pressing that. Okay, it says board. So like that, it will have several messages. So it comes in different matrices, 4 by 4 matrix, or 8 by 8 matrix, or 16 by 16 matrix, where you have the facility for that many numbers of message. And there is another tool.
So what did you eat? Did you eat your lunch? Did you eat your lunch?
So to give answer to that, the child is searching for a particular icon. The child will press that and then communicate. Then
Did you eat your lunch?
So he has to give yes.
खाना खाई आज? दोपहर को खाना खाया? No. Yes, the Sunday.
So the child will press the button where it is written yes. So this child has got associated problems. She's not only hearing impaired, she has the physical problems also.
Yes.
So okay, so this app is again a very freely available app with a very less license fee. This is developed by IIT Chennai, and the license fee for this app is just 300 rupees in a year. So if we just pay that, the child will be able to use that in his mobile, or on laptop, or on iPads like this. So this app is called Avas app, which is again will be very useful for the child. Now this is another device. It's again an alternative communication device. This is for a child who cannot operate the mouse. So along with hearing impairment, this child has got a problem called cerebral palsy, which restricts its hand movements. So a person who cannot control his hand movements, it's very difficult to operate a mouse. Now you just see in the video how effectively he is operating the mouse. So there is something on his head, and that is a pointer. That's a laser pointer, which we use in our presentations, the same kind of pointer. With that pointer, he is selecting a particular icon in the laptop. Okay, so this technology is called eye gaze technology. So with this technology, is easily manipulating that mouse. And there is another system called Proxpad. So this also has
small device to print or sound tag to make contact with the blue surface of the mouse pad. The proximity mode allows you to swipe the sound card above the surface, making it perfect for the person who has limited mobility or needs the Proxpad mounted under a table or wheelchair frame. Let us see the applications. The Proxpad enables children with limited hand function or visual impairments to communicate and make choices. It can be used for clients with severe disabilities, autism, etc. Accessories are tangible object cards, 30 set with sound tag.
So in these cards, you can program the messages like the usual messages which the child will be using in the classroom is, say, I need to drink water, or I need to go to the toilet,
Yeah.
or I'm not feeling well, I'm feeling hungry. All these messages can be pre-recorded into these flashcards, and there are systems which allows you to have about 50 flashcards. So whenever the child want to say that I feel hungry, he will just take the flashcard, and this device is like almost the size of your mobile. He will keep the card on the device, then the device will say I want to go to washroom, I would like to go to washroom, like that. So which is very helpful for the day-to-day communication with the child, other than the communication related to the subjects which is learned, which is taught in the classroom. So with this, I end my presentation here, and what I have touched upon is a range of technologies which can be used for two categories of people with hearing problem. One is the category with hearing loss. For them, we have the hearing aids and the assisted listening devices, which can be very effectively integrated into the classroom. Then we have also seen for children with complete deafness, hard of hearing people, we have three modes of supporting technology for them: the cochlear implant, the alarm and alerting devices, and the augmentative and alternative communication devices. And depending on the situation, we can select one of those devices and make the child very comfortable in the classroom. He will be just like a normal child sitting in the classroom. So our aim is to make him listen to the teacher, make him understand what the teacher teaches,
Right.
in the same way as a normal child understands or listens in the classroom.
Well, sir, while you were showing us all the devices and all the educational technology that is related to imparting education to those who are hearing impaired, I could, I was imagining actually a lot of research goes into devising these devices actually, because you need to understand the requirements, you need to understand the surroundings, you need to understand, the effectiveness also. And because you've shown us so many things, and yes, technology does make things easy, but it comes with a cost, it comes with a price, and not everybody can afford it. So just one simple question: out of all these technologies or all these devices that you have shown us, which is the most versatile and low cost mode of augmentative and alternative communication?
Yes, I'll show you that. So what I feel, and in our personal experience also, what we have found is very effective is this communication board.
Yeah.
Okay, small board, 1 feet by 1 feet, the size of your laptop, is the child can easily carry wherever he go, whether it is whether in the classroom, or whether he is in the playground, or whether he is in the assembly. He can easily carry that, and whenever he wants to communicate, he can just write the communication on the board. And for the other person also to communicate with the child, the teacher also to communicate with the child, the teacher can write on that board. And it is just like your marker board in the classroom, whiteboard in the classroom, where you can use marker pens for communication. So the cost of that board is the only cost involved there, and it's a very effective way of communication.
Right, indeed. And of course, whenever you want to replace, these spoken commands or sounds, we can either use the written instructions or the visual cues. Flashcards also you mentioned in this communication
Yes.
bulletin boards, they serve their purpose quite effectively. We do not have enough time left in the session, but you have covered everything, and so wonderfully you explained the things to us, because till now, before the session, I only knew about the communication educational technologies for people who are hearing, like AR, VR, and different other technologies, usage of AI. But now I also know that how there are specific educational technologies for hearing impaired in terms of these boards, in terms of these devices, and how these technologies work differently on different hearing aids as well. So there is a lot that we can grasp from this session, and of course, after learning everything, we can be better teachers, better service providers, and better facilitators to those who need us when it comes to education in a mainstream classroom. So Professor Ajish, thank you so much for your time and contribution to the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity. Thank you.
Right. So viewers, it's now time for me to wrap up this session over here, and I must say that today on day 4 we talked about educational technology for children with hearing impairment, and tomorrow on day 5 we will be talking about adaptation techniques for teaching different subjects. So please stay tuned. It's going to be the last day of the training session. Most of you have registered, and of course you would like to complete it. Watch the session very carefully, and now as I promised in the beginning, I would like to show you the website where you can get all these guidelines and how actually you can get the instructions and further steps to complete the process. So let me quickly take you to the website, which is CIET website. So nothing you have to do, you just have to type CIET on browser, and here comes the activities section on the home page. Go to the live inclusive classrooms, scroll down, and you will find different activities going on. Right now we are concerned with this training program which we are conducting under the umbrella theme of including children with hearing impairment in the mainstream school education. When we click here, we get this complete write-up, why we are having it, who all can participate, what are the objectives of the training program, and here is the program schedule, entire program schedule along with the name of the resource persons. Now, you have to watch all our sessions very carefully, but in case you have missed out on something, do not worry, we will upload all the sessions here. You can watch them later. Now, first step I'm sure is complete. Second step is to watch the sessions that you are doing right now. You can watch the uploaded ones also on all these platforms or by scanning this QR code. Third step is to attempt the assessment, which will open on 26 September, that's tomorrow. And it will close after or on 10th of October by midnight. So make sure that you attempt the assessment properly. The MCQs will be based on the content that we are delivering through these training programs. Also, if you score more than 70%, you will be granted a certificate. And rest, if you wish to share your feedback with us, there is an email ID that we keep on highlighting on all the days. That's dth.isl31@ciet.nic.in. Here is this email ID. Now, with this, I'm wrapping up this training program that we are having, and very quickly I would like to update you regarding the textbooks that are available on Amazon, Flipkart and NCERT website. I'm talking about grade 4 and 7, and simultaneously take a quick look at the schedule, what's all coming ahead. So in a short while from now, you can watch a session on Sanskrit at 2, followed by a session of Samajik Vigyan at 2:30 p.m. At 3 p.m. we will bring you a session of sciences. We will be talking about forces. 3:30 p.m. is the time for mathematics, and of course we will learn about algebraic expressions and identities. 4 to 5 p.m. is the time for our online training program. Today we are in day 4, and we are talking about instructional design or Anudeshnatmak Praroop. And we will end the day with our session Sahyog, where we will talk about the power within building self-worth and confidence. That's very important. I mean, a lot of youngsters are facing these issues when it comes to self-worth, and that's making them taking, I would say compelling them to take all the wrong decisions in life. But anyway, with this, it's a wrap. This is me, Harpreet Kaur, taking leave of you, and will join you shortly. Stay tuned. Namaskar.